When I land, he's hurt and tired and no food, no water, no nothing. I think he's sort of taken me back to where he's been hanging out.
Drogon has carried Dany to his nest high up in the mountains, and she's trying to stir him to action, so she's crawling all over him. Normally, Dany only pets the dragon. In this case, she's crawling on him and pulling on his horns and trying to get him to go. Stewart's team built a buck that could slide and move the actress around. The proportions have changed in that they're not childlike proportions anymore. The heads are less round, they're a little more elongated, the eyes look more adult, they have a lot more expression, and the camera gets right in because we get in so close. He really has to emote as much as any of our other actors.
We look very closely at all kinds of lizards and reptiles, and selling the creature is all about incorporating as much realistic, live-action, organic material and texture and behavioral quality as you possibly can.
I would say that when she sees the Dothraki, she knows what that means. She knows who they are. Her relationship with Drogo was one thing, but Drogo is gone, and she knows, in a way, he was sort of an anomaly.
She's a smart cookie, though. She drops her engagement ring in the hopes that the lads will come and find her.
The longer we sit here bantering, the longer Daenerys is out there in the wilderness.
The dragon headed north. If we're going to find her, that's where we'll have to go.
It would not help us on this expedition. You would help us here in Marine, though.
Once the queen is gone, who's going to be organizing everyone and keeping everybody under control? And we quickly decide that I'm the best man for the job, and we'll see how that works out.
What was very exciting for us when we first read the outlines this season was that we had different constellations of characters that were finally coming together. I think the greatest new combination we have is Daenerys and Tyrion.
I was like, yes, this is amazing, this is it. Because I think Peter's phenomenal, and just getting to act with him has just been a gift.
When I signed on for this show, they told me my character arc. That was so inspiring to me as an actor to have that trajectory. For Tyrion, this is a season of sort of rebirth. So I'm sort of this season feeling as an actor the same way as Tyrion is feeling as a character.
A grand old city, choking on violence, corruption, and deceit. Who could possibly have any experience managing such a massive, ungainly beast?
I did miss you.
I have absolutely no idea what the dynamic of Grey Worm, Missandei, Tyrion, and Varys is going to be. It's going to be an interesting team-up.
When Tyrion was the transitional hand to the king, Varys was his confidant. He saw how he maneuvered politically, and he knows that Tyrion's got a very toughness to him, but he also has compassion to him.
It's what he and Varys came to do, support Daenerys, and it's sort of like a pick up and carry on and continue the beginnings of their beautiful friendship together.
After the Daznak fight, they're rudderless. Daario, who is someone that is truly instinctual physically and understands strategy very, very well in a physical form, he basically takes all of that instincts that he has and becomes the puppet master.
Looks like it's you and me, Jorah the Animal. Let's find some good horses. We have so much to talk about.
Daario has known her in a way that Jorah has always wanted to. There's a kind of deep irony in that the two of us are united in pursuit of her. But it's one of those, lovely question marks that I think a lot of the end of episodes leave you with, where you think, I wonder where this is going, and I wonder too.
I'm hoping that I'm making the right decision by bringing him back in the ranks while she's not there, because I'm assuming that that's what Dany would probably want.
I say it every season, but it couldn't get darker. There are more cliffhangers in this season than I've read in any season. And there are more, oh my God, moments, which hopefully fans are going to appreciate as much as we do.
I have sinned. I see that now. How can I have been so blind for so long? I want to be clean again. I want absolution.
I will permit you to return to the Red Keep.
Thank you. Thank you.
The High Sparrow is the head of the religious group. We're very lucky that Jonathan Pryce accepted the role. And I think what Jonathan does so well is he's capable of so many conflicting emotions and portray those at the same time. You first meet him, you think he's a man of enormous compassion. He also is very steely.
Cersei thinks she will get me on her side. And I suppose I play with that for a while, but there's no way I'm going to give in to her.
Cersei's weakness is she doesn't really consider real threats. She lives in a state of denial. She's kind of in control of things. I was very excited. You know, I think there's nothing better than building a character up to kind of tear them down. And so this last 4 years has been that, trying to create this impenetrable female, and now she gets broken, but not completely.
A sinner comes before you. Cersei of House Lannister, to make her walk of atonement.
I have a good relationship with Lena and we trust each other. It's easy to hate Cersei. It's easy to say that she's the bad guy. What I wanted to somehow create is a little bit of empathy and sympathy for her character as she went through this terrible ordeal.
I think it's a really difficult scene for Cersei, in part just because of the obvious nature of the scene, and in part because she has to have so much emotion. You know, by the second half of that walk, she's really broken down. She's the kind of actress where she wants that to feel as real as possible, and Lena did an incredible job.
With a crowd that was kind of 5 or 6 deep and as far as the eye could see, and the abuse that David was getting these people to shout at us, it was extraordinary to try and fight that aggressive energy and just float through, but really thrilling to do.
Once she realizes what this is going to be, she knows that all she can control in this situation is her reaction to it. It's like she's in the middle of the worst waking nightmare you could possibly imagine.
Walk of Shame was a big one for us. We really wanted to be protective of actors and the sequence itself. We wanted to keep secret for the audience. We always hate spoilers because I think it ruins it for the audience that wants to just see it fresh for the first time. The extras were great, and we knew, again, you get that feeling of, okay, we're going to be fine. And then David Nutter came in, and you really know you're going to be fine.
What's always fascinating to me about this show is how beautifully drawn and complex the characters are and how the audience reaction changed season to season. Cersei, who's been doing nothing but terrible things to people for 5 seasons, I was very moved and I felt sorry for her. I never thought I'd feel sorry for Cersei Lannister at all.
The only person there who shows any sympathy whatsoever is Kyber. She's come to really depend on him. He's the only person who visited her in her jail cell. And not only that, but he's brought her a gift. And you see, I mean, it's not a visual effect. You see them standing together, and they look like they're from 2 different species.
She gets a chance to know as a member of the King's Guard, which is, of course, the mountain that is resurrected by Qyburn. He's, in a sense, I would say, Game of Thrones Frankenstein. This newest member of the King's Guard has a solemn oath and duty, which would be to protect and to serve vengeance on whoever is her enemies, and get ready for season 6, I have to say.
The Walk of Shame is a giant staircase here in downtown Dubrovnik, and we'll be using all of the steps as the stairs up to the sept, and then right where the stairs end, there's a giant green screen, and we'll replace everything behind that with the digital sept, which is all CG. So we usually dress up to 10, 15 feet, then everything above that becomes some digital augmentation. She's looking out at all the people that she has to get through. When she looks up, we add King's Landing digitally in the background. We know the different types of people. So we have like the King's Guard, and we have the peasants, and we have the faith militant. We take each of those characters and just put them on green screen, and then later we can make digital characters of those people.
The further she goes into the slums, the worse it becomes for her. And that means for us is that it becomes more of a kind of dirty environment. You know, we have to add more smoke and rubbish everywhere and dust everywhere. And so as she's walking through, it just gets progressively worse for her until she finally ends up at the Red Keep.
It's an interesting process, do you know what I mean? Because you have to kind of put yourself in it and feel it. And we always talked about this moment when I met with Dave and Dan before all of this was a reality. They had kind of laid a story out up to this point, and so I always wanted to take her there.
How does it feel to be friends with the most hated man in Castle Black? You were friends with me when I first came here, and I wasn't winning any elections back then.
Here's to us, then. Long may they sneer.
Jon knows he's one of the most hated Lord Commanders the Night's Watch has ever seen, and it's the loneliest place he's ever been. It's the loneliest place Jon will ever be.
Send me, Gilly, and the baby to Old Town so I can become a maester. That's what I'm meant to be, not this.
Sam's not a huge amount of use to the Night's Watch where he is. Jon knows this, but he says, I need you here, Sam, as in I need your support. But again, unselfishly, he says, you need to save your girlfriend and child. Who am I to stop you from going?
It's definitely an unconventional love story. Is the idea that these are 2 people who absolutely never expected that romance of any kind, love of any kind, was going to come into their lives.
Throughout 5 seasons, there's been a lot of times when they've said goodbye to each other, potentially to never see each other again. But there's something about this one, the way it's written and the kind of gravitas that it's given and the language, that you may think that this feels like more of a goodbye.
The problem with John is he's not a cautious man. Heroes are inherently incautious. There's going to be a huge war. He's seen that from Hard Home now, and it's going to take all of our strength to have any chance. And even people have been fighting each other and killing each other for generations. So John's convinced that this is the only way forward, and his opponents are equally convinced that this is a betrayal. Ultimately, it's not just about good versus evil, it's about people of good intentions who come into conflict with each other because they have very different views of the world, and unfortunately it did not work out well for Jon Snow.
For the watch.
I knew it was happening when I got to the end of episode 10, and I see that I've got like 3 pages left, and I'm the last scene, and I'm going, okay, yep, this is it. And it was so wonderful, this Julius Caesar style moment, so perfectly executed with Ollie. You know, it's not Ollie in the books, and I think in our story anyway, it works better with him. It's a horrible last moment for Jon, that betrayal.
This is obviously a big deal, the death of Jon Snow. This is something we've been thinking about for a long, long time. And if Alistair kills him, it's kind of like it's a bad guy killing a good guy. But when it's Ollie holding the knife, you know, Ollie's not a bad guy. He's a kid who's seen just way too much horror way too early. And he makes a decision that's a really hard decision for him, but you understand where he's coming from.
I don't think it's the right decision. I think Jon's the right person to lead, and I think he's doing morally the right thing. And I think, given more of a chance, he would get to where he needs to be, but he wasn't given that chance.
Action! Well, with a lot of talks with David Nutter, what that last shot's gonna look like. We didn't want to do the pulling away thing because we felt like that had become a bit of a cliche. You know, a character dies and you pull away at the last shot. And we really wanted to see the blood flowing in the snow. Just felt right for a lot of reasons. And fluid dynamics is a pretty complicated process, and we only had a couple of shots at it, and it ended up looking really beautiful. I know it's a strange thing to say about a tragic shot, but we wanted it to look right.
Anytime somebody dies, we usually have a hand in it in some small way. When Jon dies, he gets stabbed with a blade by a number of people, so we'll do a blade extension there. But the real key to Jon's death is seeing him laying in the snow and seeing that blood pool spread out. And we talked about a couple of different ways of handling that, whether that would be CG or whether it could be in camera. And Stuart Brisden, our special effects supervisor, came up with a really cool idea.
For Kit's death, we have his leather jerkin that he's wearing is rigged with blood tubes so that we have blood welling out of that. The snow mound that he's lying on is made of polystyrene with blood tubes built into that as well, so that you get blood running out either side.
It just worked so beautifully, horribly well in the way that it creeped up and soaked its way into the snow and tracked up next to his head. It was a very lucky situation, so thank you, Stuart.
How can he not love Jon Snow? And it's Kit. And also, how can he not love Kit? He's been a good man to work with and a good friend for a long time, but nothing really trumps Jon Snow getting a knife in the heart.
Thrones always felt massive to me from the start. I have yet to do a film that feels bigger in scale than this TV show. It's bizarre, but I still love it. I love it more than anything.
The joy of David and Dan's writing is you can be in these massive settings and it's still so intimate. They keep it really grounded with these characters.
That's what I love about the show, is that it's about the corruptive qualities of power and legacy and family and all those kind of extraordinarily complicated philosophical arguments that people put up with.
I was sent the script, read it, and thought it was incredibly well written and something I could enjoy doing.
This year we got a lot of exciting things. When you see the smile on the production designer's face, or you see a director who's excited, you know, that smile makes me happy.
People love this show, love it. It's a phenomenon that I can't put my finger on, but I guess all the best phenomenons can't be assessed in any rational way.
What's so brilliant about this series, each of these characters get closer to their destiny.